West 57th, could you wait a minute, please?
A guy wrote us a letter from prison. Said, I'm a rapist. I've got a problem. This is my second time in. I'm going to get out. I'm going to do it again.
I started writing to anonymous women in the community stating that I am in prison, I'm a rapist, I'm not getting help, I'm getting out in 2 years. If they're not going to give me help, well, I got to find a woman that likes this kind of thing.
I need more on that. Let's bring it up a bit. Good, there you go. Stand by and try it again.
He's one of these guys who plays real macho heroes, tough guys, and underneath it, he suffers from anxiety attacks. Some people have compared you to Humphrey Bogart. Do you see any of that?
No.
You don't see it at all?
They've compared me to everybody but Dorothy Lamour.
Black. One. Good job up, Mike. Cue him.
He says, look at the furniture, look at the bed, look at the objects in this room. It was in this room, looking at these objects, that Lee Oswald planned the assassination.
I have had people stand beside President Kennedy's car. I have seen tears come down their cheeks. I'll promise you, this is second to no museum in the world for what people want to see.
Give me a reset on your audio. Resetting audio. Audio is good, and take it.
Hi, welcome to West 57. Not long ago in California, a man who had raped and mutilated a woman was paroled from prison. He was forced out of one town after another by communities outraged by his release. He now lives on the grounds of San Quentin. The public has good reason to be concerned. About 80% of all convicted rapists are arrested again, usually for sex crimes. We want you to meet a man tonight, a convicted rapist, who wrote us a letter. He'll be in prison for some time, but through him, we got a rare glimpse into the mind of a rapist. This man knows firsthand that a rapist let out of prison today will probably be looking for his next victim tomorrow.
I'm getting out, okay? Does society want me released with treatment or without treatment? Without it, they can almost put their money on what's going to happen.
Which is?
I would probably rape again and possibly kill people.
Jeffrey Gambord is in a maximum security prison in California on his second rape conviction. But like many rapists, his victims are far more numerous than his convictions. He started young.
The rape fantasies and that kind of thing started probably around 12 years old.
What were you thinking in these things when you were 12 years old?
Forcing myself upon a victim, a woman. I remember walking around our apartment complex with a knife in my pocket, fantasizing about, you know, forcing a woman to have sex.
How many women have you raped that you weren't caught?
I don't know. I would say approximately 15 to 20. I wasn't really aware, consciously aware, that I was breaking the law. It never occurred to me that I could get arrested and get sent to prison, or that I was even going to get caught. And when I got caught, I realized, man, I got a problem, you know, and I don't want to do this anymore, and I want help.
After his first conviction, Gambord was placed in group therapy, but his doctor said his problems were so serious that he should be transferred to a state mental hospital. But prison authorities simply put him in another group.
Sex offenders in prison generally have a problem with other inmates. And I had a lot of guys in the group say, you know, you're a sick son of a bitch, and you know we're gonna kill you. And in that type of environment, I couldn't work on my problems. I was so upset, I started asking to see the doctor. I said, I need treatment, I need help. And they said, you're not going to get help here.
Gambord keeps copious records of his 5-year fight to get treatment. A string of doctors who evaluated him said he was an extreme danger to society and needed intensive, long-term therapy, but it wasn't available. So he launched a one-man campaign writing letters to 85 state senators and to newspapers saying that without treatment, he would rape again. Gambord may have been after publicity as much as treatment, but in any case, when it didn't work, his tactics got even more extreme.
When all those avenues did not pan out, then I started writing to anonymous women in the community, stating that I am in prison, I'm a rapist, I'm not getting help, I'm getting out in 2 years. If they're not going to give me help, well, I got to find a woman that likes this kind of thing. It was to create a sense of fear in the community, and it worked. It worked. It was the only thing that worked. It was the only thing that got me treatment.
The prison system finally gave in, and Gambord got individual therapy 1 hour a week for his last 6 months in prison. But it was too little, too late.
I met her in a bar, and I told her I was a plastic surgeon.
Within 3 weeks of getting out of prison in 1985, Gambord raped again, twice. He found his second victim in this bar near San Jose. Understandably, she wouldn't talk to us about Gambord. He had taken her to a nearby carport, raped her, and nearly strangled her to death.
I didn't feel that I could control it. There was nobody to talk to out there. Nobody, not even my family or anybody. And then a therapist I can talk to, there was nobody to talk to. Nobody.
These two incidents, when you got out of prison, were they more violent?
Definitely. In my 1980 crimes, I took extreme care in not hurting the victims. But in the 85, in the ones I did in 85, I almost killed her.
He had written letters to the newspapers prior to his release saying he would probably re-rape because he had not gotten any therapy. It was totally predictable.
Dr. Paul Walker, appointed by a state court to evaluate Gambord, has treated many sex offenders.
We're going to put these people in the street with our loved ones ourselves. They're a rape, a murder, an assault waiting for a place to happen. So if we have a means and methods to intervene, ways of stopping that behavior, therapy, I can't imagine why not to do it.
There were 2 men that lived next door to us.
Therapy for rapists, like counseling or drugs that suppress sex drive, is controversial. It costs a lot of money, and it's not always successful. Many experts remain skeptical because of past failures, but advocates for treatment are claiming that for rapists like Gambord, who seek help, success rates are as high as 85%. In this group in an Oregon prison, convicted rapists are talking about being sexually abused as children.
I was over there after a big upset at home, and I was forcibly raped. I was beaten and raped by both of them. I was there for about 4 hours.
You were raped for 4 hours?
Yeah.
Certainly, society would like to castrate these people. Society would like to lock them up for life.
Rob Freeman Longo directs the Oregon program.
But the reality is prisons in America are overcrowded, and this probably applies to most states. And the reality is that these people have a fixed sentence in most cases, and they're going to get out. So what do? Do we let them sit in prison, and do we let them keep on thinking about rape and planning future assaults? Or do we take them and try and treat them in hopes to reduce victimizations in the future?
We've had programs in the past that have been massive failures in this whole rehabilitative scheme, and so you have a public that's quite burnt off, if you will, on that, and the monies that go into it.
State Senator H.L. Richardson has little faith in treatment for sex offenders, and he's consistently opposed legislation to fund such programs. Right now, it costs more to institutionalize a person in California, to keep him in jail, than it does to treat him.
Yes. Yes, it does. And, but again, it's presupposing that the treatment will work.
And you're not convinced of that?
No, I'm not. It's going to have to be proven to me, as it should to every member of the legislature.
We've talked to a guy who's 25 years old. He's a second offender. He's had no substantial treatment. He gets out in 11 years and says, look, I'm still in this state of mind. What do you do? What's the solution with this man?
Well, what the solution now is in the state of California is he'll be on 11 years. That is the solution, sum and total of it.
Richardson has another solution, longer jail term. A bill he sponsored has put some sex offenders away for 100 years. In California, there are more than 5,000 sex offenders, and only about 50 of them get treatment in an experimental program. Jeffrey Gambord is not one of them. Is it getting worse in prison?
Yeah, the fantasies are.
In what way?
They're turning more towards homicidal fantasies and less sexual. You know, like of just like kill, like when I see like this guy walk in McDonald's and kill 30 people, and I mean, I can visualize myself doing something like that someday.
Jeffrey is going from, if you can use terms like this, simple rape, simple sexual arousal, to rape, to very violent fantasies, to fantasies of murder and mutilation. He indeed could be a lust murderer, the kind of person that dismembers or does a mass murder.
What's going to happen to Jeffrey Gambord without treatment when he gets out?
He is going to rape again, and if he only rapes, I think we're lucky.
If somebody raped my mother or my sister, you know, my reaction would be, you know, well, I want that guy killed, you know. Don't ever let that guy out. I mean, it's a sick thing, you know, what I've done and what other people like me have done. It's a very emotional thing, and I think people are really afraid of it. But I'm not this way because I want to be. I just want help.
If you weren't going to get treatment, what's the solution to your problem?
Suicide for me. I hope that if I don't get treatment, that I have the guts to take my own life before they release me again. Because I don't want to go through this anymore.
You're going to be in prison for 11 years. Why should I be worrying about this problem now?
Because there's another Jeff Gambord that, as we sit and talk, is getting released at some other prison. Every day they're releasing sex offenders just like me. Every day.
You'll have a crush on lobster, your heart's gonna melt. Tales of tender sweet surrender like you never felt.
It's the Lobster Fest at Red Lobster.
Lobster dishes so delicious.
From $7.95.
With every dip you're gonna flip.
Kids eat for $1.95.
Red Lobster, we know how you love seafood.
At our Lobster Fest. Come love our lobster and steak dinner, $10.95, Friday and Saturday only.
Finally, somebody put the medicine I want into a coated caplet. Anacin caplets.
Anacin caplets with a formula containing aspirin, the pain-relieving medicine doctors recommend most.
I like the strength and the coating.
Doctor recommended Anacin, coated caplets and tablets.
Today's highly improved copper-top battery, compared to the ones we made just 2 years ago, it'll last up to 30% longer. Today's Duracell. No battery lasts longer.
Wednesday, the Iron Curtain opens. For one historic week, CBS News talked directly with Russian citizens, uncensored.
This is a new beginning, isn't it? It's a remarkable new beginning.
Unprecedented. Join Dan Rather and a team of correspondents inside the Soviet Union. 7 days in May, a CBS News special Wednesday.
His movies have made more at the box office than any other actors ever, more than $1 billion. Yet it's taken Harrison Ford 20 years to gain artistic recognition, partly because he shuns publicity. He reluctantly agreed to this interview, but I was advised to stay away from personal matters. No questions, please, about his divorce, remarriage, or his 3 children. Ford prefers that people know nothing about his life beyond what they see on the screen. Harrison Ford was once a carpenter, and it shows in his approach to acting. As he puts it, it all comes down to detail.
It's something you have to learn to do very easy. It looks like you're working real hard, right? But when you start, you can do it just like that.
His colleagues call him a team player, a compliment in the snake pit of Hollywood.
This is a hopeless task.
Ford gives a lot of credit to directors, but it's his contributions to a script that often stop the show. The ending to this scene was his idea. Like the characters he plays, Ford prefers action to words, demanding to take on as many of his own stunts as his 45-year-old body will allow.
Dragging behind a car. Dragging behind a car.
Faster.
Just, one more useless experience.
Put your head up just a little if you can, that's it.
It was dangerous. We would wait until we got more of the movie done.
What is the riskiest position you've put yourself in?
This. Right here.
Well, what's the risk of doing that?
I don't know. I just don't. You recognize that I'm not especially comfortable with it. I don't feel. You know, the risk is that that you'll be asked things that you don't want to deal with.
You mean personal?
Yeah. I don't like doing personal publicity because I am by nature a private person, and also I don't think it has any practical value. I think you become an object of fashion, which then is replaced by another object of fashion. You're in and out of fashion. If you're a celebrity, that's what happens to you.
Why not let people know who Harrison Ford is? I mean, I think of polls that were done a couple of years ago. I think people did a poll, and very few people knew who you were, despite the fact that you've been in the business 20 years. And directors who've been asked to list the 10 top dramatic actors very often don't put your name down.
Are you trying to make me feel good?
No, I'm saying those are facts that you know. You know, maybe the fact that you've stayed away from all that kind of publicity has hurt you. Is that possible?
Do I look hurt? No, I'm perfectly satisfied with the way things have gone.
Meeting Mr. Ellis.
Ford started his film career in the mid-'60s with this one-line walk-on. He was so convincing as a bellboy, one studio executive quipped, "You ain't got it, kid," it being star quality.
No, sir. Charles Ellis. Room 607.
There was no laser blast. Something hit us.
9 years later, Ford's chief occupation was still carpentry, when he auditioned for the role of Han Solo in Star Wars. He was the last of hundreds tested. The movie grossed $300 million. The college dropout from suburban Chicago hasn't needed his hammer and nails since. It was Indiana Jones that made Ford a star. But it also typecast him as an old-fashioned entertainment hero. Comparisons to past performers soon followed. Some people have compared you to some of the stars like Humphrey Bogart. Do you see any of that? You don't see it at all?
They've compared me to everybody but Dorothy Lamour.
Well, you're used to playing heroes.
No, I'm not used to playing heroes. I'm used to playing characters, and if they happen to behave heroically, you can't play a hero. A hero is a guy with a cape, you know. But what's interesting is to see a person that's ordinary behave in heroic way.
Well, when I think of somebody like Han Solo or even Indiana Jones, you ask the average person what those characters are, I think they'd say they were heroes.
Yeah, but those are only two characters, Han Solo and Indiana Jones, out of a range of, what, 14 or 15 that I've played. So I don't feel that I'm stuck in a position of playing heroes.
Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology. Don't know much about science.
Ford may not think he's stuck, but he has played some kind of hero in 10 of his films. It's no accident, says a co-star. He has that quality. And it's caused some to dismiss him as a serious actor. It wasn't until Witness, where Ford played an honest cop against a corrupt system, that he finally won an Academy Award nomination.
It's over. Enough! Enough!
The image of you on the screen, I think, that a lot of people have is that you play tough guys, really tough guys who actually have very soft hearts.
Well, if that's the image, I mean, sure, fair enough to say that that's the image that I have. But I also want go out of my way not to do the same thing over and over again. So, I mean, I have some stake in believing that I've been successful in that.
Why then do you think the public has the impression that you keep playing very similar characters?
Do you want me to give the money back? I mean, what are you...
No,
You're saying that I failed in my job.
No,
what would you suggest that I do? Give the money back?
I'm not saying you failed in your job. I'm saying maybe the characters are similar.
I played a lot of different kinds of characters. The fact that I'm not as well known for the ones that are less successful commercially doesn't surprise me. I shouldn't think that it should surprise you.
I'm a changed man, Mother. No more chemicals or poisons. If what you want isn't washed up on the beach, you probably don't need it.
Ford's most unlikely role to date was his last one, playing the unlikable Allie Fox in The Mosquito Coast. He turned off the critics and the audience, portraying a character who refuses to admit his mistakes.
No! No! We cannot go back.
What didn't you like about Allie Fox, your performance? What?
No, I mean, you know, it's just not, it's just not done to criticize your own work that way, is it? I mean, I'm not about to do it.
When it's a flop, Harrison, do you blame yourself?
Hope is predominantly for its artistic success, not its commercial success. I mean that sincerely. I mean, I'm insulated enough by the films that I have done that are successful, not to really care that much about that.
I know you don't want to talk about your personal life, and I haven't asked you anything, but...
Everything you've asked me has been
That's
personal.
not true. I want... Everybody want... I mean, people like you, Harrison. People want to know something about you.
Well, we'll put an end to that.
I want to read a quote from you. It says, "I'm probably impossible for me to live with. I get along much better with other people than I do with myself. I do not consider myself fun at a party." I don't know what you mean.
I meant to indicate that I am in conflict with myself on a regular basis, that I have long talks with myself about what I'm doing and how I'm reacting, and I think that's common to most people, isn't it?
Well, yeah, if you're not talking out loud when you're having these talks.
No, not in the back of buses, sort of talking
Well,
to myself.
then I think it's probably common.
Yeah, right.
Something
If you don't actually carry shopping bags, I think it's all right.
What's the conflict that's going on in your head all the time?
Well, I don't know that it's anybody's business. That's why I don't talk out loud about it. I'm talking to myself. Leave me a little privacy here.
How about one thing? One personal thing that people will leave the interview and they'll go, "Isn't that nice that I learned that?" One thing.
Ask me a question. One free question.
One free question that you'll
Give me
answer?
a specific question. I'll give you an answer.
Shoot.
See?
No, the pressure's really
Now let's give as much dead time for you. And I'll just look at you like I'm an interviewer.
Now, you say that you're not like any of your characters, on the one hand, yet there's a part of you in each one of them. If I look at those characters, which parts of them can I pull out that reflect you?
American Graffiti, I think, you know, there's a bit of smartass in me, and I think that that's the smartass.
Hey, I like the color of your car there, man. What's that supposed to be? Sort of a cross between piss yellow and puke green, ain't it?
Star Wars Han Solo is a cynical kind of guy with a heart of gold, if you will. There's a little of that in me.
The princess, you have to take care of her.
I love you.
I know.
The character in Hanover Street, I played a real romantic. And there's a touch of that in me.
I don't want to let you go. I just want to be with you all the time. I don't want to wake up in the morning and not know if I'm going to see you that evening. I'm tired of missing you.
The Frisco Kid was basically a person that couldn't turn somebody down. He's a guy who just wasn't too smart, but was generous of heart.
Sure talk funny. Where you born at?
Poland.
Oh. Is that near Pittsburgh?
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Is that sort of like you? Not too smart, but generous of heart? Well, then you said it. No, man, I'm taking notes here.
Let's just stick with the generous of heart part.
Okay.
Okay. Raiders of the Lost Ark, one thing that I think that was most prominent in the character of Indiana Jones was his tenaciousness, his unwillingness to give up, and I am tenacious.
Meet me at Omar's. Be ready for me. I'm going after that truck. Oh. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Witness, he's again a sentimental person who wants very much to be a part of life, a part of a community, but he's an outsider, a loner, as cops often feel themselves. And that brings us...
Are you part loner?
Yep, yep. And then the last one is Mosquito Coast.
This'll do for the kitchen. That could be the laundry and wash house. Tie the whole thing together with a platform and put the sleeping quarters up above.
He's so fraught with contradiction that his mental balance is questionable. So I'll take a little tiny touch of not mental unbalance, but there's sort of a constant gnashing of the psychological gears.
Well, I would say if you take away the part where he goes crazy, you certainly appear to be a man of contradiction.
I can live with that.
I'm still short. Joyce, I'm so embarrassed. Could you lend me $2?
What are friends for?
It's not even food. It's all these cleaners.
Why buy all these? All you need is Direct multi-purpose cleaner. Direct cleans and disinfects your whole house, top to bottom. Use it straight. No bucket, no rinsing. One cleaner saves a lot of hassle.
Lysol Direct, the one cleaner that cleans everything.
In 1 minute, Americans eat 908 pounds of Mexican food. And in about 1 minute, you can microwave Mexican flavors of Cheese Whiz to make all that Mexican food taste better. Cheese Whiz processed cheese spread, the marvelous microwave in a minute Mexican cheese sauce.
The magic's gone. The minute the lights go out, you fall asleep.
It's time to change your bulb to Philips. Philips Longer Life Square Bulbs.
Summertime. It's summertime, and that's a busy, dizzy time for you. You're on the go, on the move. You need plenty of fuel to keep you moving, grooving, and caught up with the action. That's why, for a limited time, McDonald's is serving a bigger than big, larger than large, super summer-sized icy Coca-Cola, golden fries, and thick milkshakes. Super satisfying mega servings to keep you in the summertime swing of things.
Summertime, serve it up, summertime.
Super summer sizes.
McDonald's.
More and more men are keeping their bodies in shape. Their faces, too. Shaving's rough on your face. So every day, after every shave, splash on Skin Bracer. Skin Bracer cools, soothes, tightens pores.
That's the tingle. Smells great, too.
But Skin Bracer's not cologne. It's skin care you need. That's why more men are saying...
Thanks. I needed that.
Skin Bracer takes care of men who take care of their skin. Skin Bracer Aftershave.
By men.
We'll be right back with more of West 57 in a moment.
Monday, will Allie's degree open the door to the art world?
You got any, adult posters?
You mean like smut?
Then will Patty's new love destroy Sam's friendship?
What are you trying to say, that I'm uptight?
You're lucky to be able to get a comb through your hair.
And on Newhart, double dating has poor Dick in a dither.
I just hope I'm the one you end up with tonight.
We'll see how you do.
Then it's a voodoo curse.
there's some pretty funny things going on around here.
There always are on Designing Women. This is CBS.
In the land of Dairy Queen.
It's the Blizzard, the original Dairy Queen treat. So rich, so thick, you gotta spoon it up. Now get your Blizzard made with Reese's Pieces candy. Cookies. Fruit or nuts, the choice is yours. The Blizzard flavor treat. It's so thick, you gotta spoon it up. And it's only at Dairy Queen.
We treat you right.
Gunsmoke, Saturday and Sunday nights at 10:30 on Channel 5.
From Channel 5, this is an Eyewitness News update.
Good evening, everyone. Coming up on Eyewitness News tonight at 10 o'clock, violence in Seoul, Korea continues with injuries mounting on both sides, police and protesters. We'll have the latest. Spivey Corner, South Carolina was a hot spot for hollering today. The town was truly where the mouth of the South spoke out. We'll hear more about what happened there. Now this.
RC Cola. Some people go out of their way for the taste of it.
Details at 10.
Whenever we think we're beginning to put Vietnam behind us, we meet someone else with a story to tell. Someone who reminds us how the most basic human relationships are complicated by war. We met a woman a few months ago who showed us a photograph of her son. She's been searching for him for 11 years. She hasn't found him, but he isn't lost. He's adopted and well cared for. But when you're a Vietnamese mother trying to see your half-American son, even a good adoption can mean the war has never ended.
I miss him. I love him. I want to explain what happened.
What if they say, look, we gave your son up for adoption many years ago. He lives a different life now.
I know that's not mine. He have a adopted parent. But I say, if I have a chance come to the United States, I can to see him.
They don't have a
Kim Wong did make it to the United States. She lives in Boulder, Colorado with her 14-year-old daughter, Sandy. Sandy remembers when she used to be called Lor Ann Lee, and her big brother was called Kim San.
And ever since we came to America, we've been trying to contact with him. Since I don't have my father, I have him left, and my mother, so they're important to me.
Sandy's father was an American serviceman who lived with her mother in Saigon. It's a familiar story. When his tour was up, he left. Today, mother and daughter live in a housing project where Kim works at home for a clothing manufacturer. She does piecework, sewing neckties by hand for 70 cents a tie. The good thing about her job, Kim says, is that she can work as much as she wants. The bad thing is that it gives her so much time to think about what happened almost 12 years ago. It was April 1975. Da Nang had already fallen to the North Vietnamese. Saigon was about to fall. The American troops were pulling out. The country was full of rumors about what this would mean to women who'd lived with American servicemen and to the children they had produced. Children who might be considered by their new rulers half-enemy. What happened was that Kim Wong made a choice. She was not the only mother who did. She kept her 2-year-old daughter with her, thinking she was too young to travel. But she handed over her 4-year-old son to this man, Victor Srinivasan, an Indian who volunteered to come to Vietnam and work with children hurt by the war, particularly the outcast children fathered by American servicemen. Mr. Victor, as he was known in Saigon, ran 2 large orphanages, and in the last 2 weeks of the war, he escaped with 67 children he had promised to an American adoption agency. We found Mr. Victor living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we asked him about the adoption agreement Kim Wong signed. I have a piece of paper here.
That's the release paper.
Yeah.
I remember very well. This is the release paper signed by the mother.
But she's saying now that when she signed this, at the time, She was under a great deal of pressure. She didn't understand that
That is possible. Most of these women were under a lot of pressure. They would come and sign a release paper in the morning and come back in the afternoon, change their mind. It is like a yo-yo, go back and forth. It was so frightening, so confusing. People couldn't just think straight. They were absolutely desperate. So if I was a Vietnamese woman and I had a child which was fathered by a American, and I would have said, anybody who I could think could help me, I would have said, please take my child and take care of my child.
You think there was real possibility of danger to the child at that point?
Right.
Life-threatening danger.
Right. I would have done it.
When was the last time you saw your son? When's the last time you saw his face?
Then 28 April 75.
28th of April, 1975?
Yeah.
Where was he? Can you describe it for me?
I just sent him on the bus, and then the bus go to the airport, and he's cry. I say, he speak in Vietnamese, say, like, Mom, come with me, and Mom, come with me, and he cried a lot on that. And I cannot forget that. I miss my son a lot. But I think I can go after 1 week when the plane come back. But I'm just today, the airport closed, something happened, and nobody can contact on that.
Kim Son became part of Operation Baby Lift. At least 2,000 children were airlifted out of South Vietnam and into the custody of various adoption agencies. Within hours of the last Baby Lift flight, Saigon fell. Kim tried to get a plane out, but couldn't. She hid with her daughter in a fishing village. 2 years later, Kim left Vietnam in a fishing boat, hiding below with her now 4-year-old daughter. Like these and thousands of other former South Vietnamese, they became boat people, surviving weather and pirates and starvation to end up in a refugee camp in Malaysia. Counselors in the camp took an interest in Kim and her American-looking daughter, Loran Lee, and through telegrams to the States, they found Kim's son had been adopted by an American family living near the East Coast. But the resettlement agency told Kim she shouldn't try to find her son, and they assigned her to a sponsor on the other side of the country, in Colorado. Once there, Kim couldn't forget. She told her story to a psychologist, Tom Metz, who counseled Asian refugees at a community college. Metz helped Kim find out the name of the adoption agency that had placed her son, Welcome House in Pennsylvania, and he helped work out an arrangement whereby Kim could exchange letters and photographs with her son. All the mail would go through Welcome House and then to the adoptive parents. For the first time in her life, Kim got a letter from her son. It was signed with his new name, Jeffrey Walker.
When we first contacted Welcome House, they led her and me to believe that Jeff was still in a difficult period of adjustment emotionally, that if she would be patient and nice, she would be allowed to see him. And for a while, she received at Christmas, would receive a nice letter with maybe a present for her and Sandy and kind of, you know, maybe a picture of Jeff saying how great he was doing with the band or with the sports or with this. But of course, she constantly sought direct contact. She wanted to see him face to face.
To that request for contact, Welcome House in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, said no. They would not tell Kim the name of the adoptive parents or where they lived. When we asked Welcome House to talk about Kim's case, they refused, saying they were bound by the laws of confidentiality. Their position, they said, is that Kim signed a document relinquishing her son, and she has no legal right to try to see him until he's an adult.
I don't see it as punishment for her. She got what she asked for the child to be saved. The child was saved. Through some miracle, then later, she also was saved.
Mary Graves was executive director of Welcome House for almost 20 years. Today, she heads her own agency, one that helps American couples adopt children from South Korea. But in 1975, it was Mary Graves who received Kim's son and 66 other children from Vietnam to place with American families. She knew at the time that some of the children had been relinquished under very special circumstances. The woman had a reason to give up a child in order to save the child's physical existence. It wasn't a question of her desiring to relinquish her child, her desiring to have someone else raise it. She desired to have the child live in many cases.
Right.
So doesn't that change the rights of the natural mother as opposed to the adoptive parent's desire to keep the past the past?
They're not really keeping the past the past. They're just helping the child reach a level where they can handle the past. Human beings are so magical and so mystical and so wonderful in their individuality that we can't sit here and say all Vietnamese mothers that want to see all Vietnamese children should see them and it will do them no harm whatsoever and it will be good. I applaud that they at least allow the letter writing and the pictures and so forth. And as I understand it, they have said that when the child, he's not a child now, when the young man is older, that he will, that of course will be his decision, because at 18 he can make that decision.
The family that adopted Kim Vuong's son lives in this suburb of an eastern city. When we found the Walkers, they declined to appear on this program, and they asked us not to reveal their address. It's a long way from Jeffrey Walker's neighborhood in the east to Kim Vuong's housing project in the west. The difference is more than miles. Kim says if the Walkers knew her better, they would understand her impatience at waiting even 2 more years until Jeffrey turns 18. She asked the Walkers in one of her letters if they would be willing to meet her alone, without Jeffrey, just to see what she's like. There was no reply.
I think the family probably has a snobbish view of Kim as a person who is not in their class.
So therefore not to be dealt with.
So therefore they don't have to deal with her and don't want her in any kind of intimate or direct contact with Jeffrey. And I think the real tragedy is that Kim is one of the finer people I've known in my lifetime. You know, here's a woman who has no education by Vietnamese standards, much less American standards. She's come to America, made a life for herself, raised a fine daughter, is making close to $20,000 a year. This is something to take your hat off to. And I think if Jeffrey were to be allowed to appreciate this, you know, he would gain a great deal from it, both in terms of admiration for his natural mother and in terms of some appreciation of his culture.
You feel threatened. You
Very
feel very threatened by it.
We probably shouldn't.
No question about it.
Alan Catherine Detweiler also adopted a half-Vietnamese, half-American child who'd been left at Mr. Victor's orphanage in Saigon. Carla Detweiler was 5 years old when she came over on the same plane with Jeffrey Walker. And even though her Vietnamese mother hasn't tried to find her, the Detweilers have had to face the same decisions the Walkers have.
You know, I guess you're afraid of they no longer quite be just yours. You know what I'm saying? It'd be sort of like a shadow always there, you know. When, like, for instance, our one son went to visit his natural mother, went back to Korea to visit his natural mother, and until he went back to visit her, when Mother's Day came around, I was his mother. You know, in my heart, in my mind, I was his mother. But after he went to visit her, that was never the same. It was never quite the same. I don't think he changed, possibly, in his feelings toward me, but I think I changed.
For many parents, it must have been one of the happiest days of their lives, the first time they held their new Vietnamese children. There was an outpouring of compassion such as this country had not seen in many years, a feeling that we may have been losing the war, but were saving some of the children hurt by that war. Later, we would learn that our best intentions didn't always bring the results we wanted. But by the time we learned more, emotions could not be undone. Families were complete.
Yeah, you're a miracle to have. Where's the rest of our group?
You got a baby. When they adopted that child, he became their son. probably, he's more their son. They've had him all the 11 years, she had him 5. They have more memories, they have more everything with him.
Because
what
they held her at bay.
But what difference does, you know, is blood thicker than water, as they say? Is it really, you know? When you really love a child, how do you, I can feel for the Walkers still. I'm sure they're experiencing, every time the mail comes, I'm sure they would hope there's nothing today from her.
Does Jeffrey want to see his mother and sister? They don't know for certain. The letters and the photographs stopped coming a year ago. But the last letter signed by Jeffrey ended this way. "I'm thinking about you," he wrote. "I will see you someday, so don't move. It will take time."
What are you going to tell him?
Oh, I tell him what everything happened. And I want to tell him how much I love him. I cannot forget because if he's still alive. I will keep for him until I die, sooner or later.
Other Vietnamese mothers have come to this country trying to find the families that adopted their children. In the first year after the baby lift, a dozen cases went to court. In every one, the adopted child was given back to the natural mother. For Kim Vuong, there hasn't been a court case. She did hire an attorney in Philadelphia and sent her $400. But the attorney said it would take a lot more money than that.
Frozen concentrated orange juice from Florida tastes fresh because it's frozen fresh.
The freezer's the reason it tastes so fresh. The freezer's the reason it tastes its best.
With the Florida seal of approval, you know it's 100% pure orange juice that meets standards even higher than the federal government's. And you know it tastes fresh because it's frozen fresh.
The freezer's the reason. Orange, you smart.
Try a double fudge bar.
Oh, I can't eat chocolate, I can't. So, it looks so rich, I can't. So creamy, I can't. So sinful, I really can't.
It's from Weight Watchers.
Oh, yes, I can.
Weight Watchers double fudge bars.
So chocolatey, so smooth. And it's from Weight Watchers. So it says, yes, I can.
I know when I'm getting my period. That's when I take Haltern, right from the start.
Haltern's advanced anti-cramping formula can halt pain and cramps and keep them halted.
So cramps don't stop me, I stop them.
Haltern can halt cramps.
Right from the start.
Now that school's out, thousands of cities and towns will be vying for your vacation time and money. But sometimes the difference between an historic site and a tourist trap is hard to see until you're already through the turnstile. Which brings us to the questions our next story raises. A story about a battle that's been raging for 20 years. One side charges conspiracy and discrimination. The other, exploitation and simple bad taste. St. Augustine, Florida is America's oldest city. And being America's oldest city is St. Augustine's only industry. 500,000 tourists spend $100 million a year here.
St. Augustine was founded on September the 8th, 1565.
But some of the biggest attractions aren't necessarily the most historic. There's Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum, an alligator farm, and a reproduction of a Spanish castle.
You would enjoy the forbidden harem quarters, the Sultan's quarters.
On the way to St. Augustine's Fountain of Youth, one of 5 in Florida, the tour buses pass by a museum that even has the word history in its name. But for once, the guides have nothing to say. What's the historic significance of this car here?
Well, this 1953 Chevrolet belonged to Wesley Buell Frazier, Lee Harvey Oswald's only friend at that time.
Buddy Huff owns and operates the Tragedy in U.S. History Museum. His collection includes Bonnie and Clyde's bullet-riddled Ford and the car that Jane Mansfield died in. But he is obsessed with the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Before you get through the front door, you're staring into the eyes of Lee Harvey Oswald in wax. The St. Augustine establishment would prefer you look the other way.
We don't stop there. We don't sell the ticket.
And since we really can find little favorable to say about the museum, we say nothing at all.
Hoop Tebow owns the tour trains that pass Buddy Huff by in silence. He and others in St. Augustine see the museum as nothing more than a bizarre memorial to Lee Harvey Oswald. So Oswald was on that stretcher?
On that stretcher, on that wrinkled sheet right there.
On that sheet?
On that sheet. I love this room. It tells a story. It's just like it was in Texas.
You really get enthusiastic about this,
yes,
don't you?
Yes, I do. I love this. I love every part of the museum. Yes.
From the day Kennedy was shot, Huff believed he could cash in on the public's fascination with tragedy. Do you think other people are as fascinated by tragedy memorabilia as you are?
Every human being had morbid curiosity. If it wasn't for the enthusiasm, when you hit a person that wants to see it, they have got to see it. I'll promise you, this is second to no museum in the world for what people want to see. What people want to see.
To me, it's more interesting than some of the things that we've seen on the tour.
In fact, I guess it's the best one.
It's a nice place that other people should come to share and enjoy, but very, very hard to find.
That's the whole idea, at least for the people in charge of things around here. Things like the official Visitors Information Center. What about the museum I've heard about called the Tragedies in U.S. History Museum? Do you know anything about that?
I know nothing about it. I don't know what's there or...
You don't have any brochures on that?
No. It's not an attraction as far as I'm concerned.
What do you mean?
Well, it's not listed.
Oh, it's not listed?
It's just not listed at all. No.
Are things like the Believe It or Not Museum listed?
Oh, sure.
They are?
Oh, sure. And they're all listed right
On a good day, Ripley's Museum attracts 2,000 visitors, willing to pay $4.95. On a good day at the Tragedy in U.S. History Museum, about 10 tenacious tourists may find Buddy Huff and pay $3.50. He's not on the official tour maps because he's not a member of the Chamber of Commerce. Huff has applied and been rejected 3 times.
There's a clique and there's a clan that runs the city. You don't come in this town until you've got the approval of the people that run it.
There is no desire to keep anyone out of a Chamber of Commerce.
The approval must come from a vote of the Chamber membership. Coralie Pomar is executive director. What element of taste enters into questions about whether the Chamber of Commerce embraces a business or a museum?
I don't think anyone can legislate taste.
So, in other words, what you're saying is being included in the Chamber of Commerce has absolutely nothing to do with the contents of, in this case, the museum.
No, I don't believe that it does.
But 20 years ago, the day it opened, the city of St. Augustine declared the museum in conflict with the city's historic and religious values, shut it down, and arrested Buddy Huff. 4 years and $60,000 in legal fees later, Huff finally won the right to stay open. But that's about all he's won.
I think Mr. Huff certainly recognizes the fact that as long as his business hours and months of operation are standardized and can be supported, that he would have every opportunity to obtain chamber membership.
Now that's the first time she's told me what to do. At the next chamber, I will submit my money, I will submit my voucher, the person who vouches for me, and I will submit a letter along with it that I will absolutely stay open any hours that the rest of them do in order to be a member.
And what do you think will happen when you do that?
And I will be turned down for something else.
What do you tell him? When he says to you, please tell these people on your tour about my museum?
Well, I tell him that, buddy, gee, I have a problem with that. One, I can't stop there because there's no place to stop. It's in the middle of the street.
He says,
two,
wait a minute, I'll interrupt you for a second. He says, I'll get you a parking space. I'll fix it.
No way, I'm 100 feet. We've tried it on several locations. We need at least 250 feet, and he doesn't have it.
What else do you tell him?
Well, we tell him it doesn't fit into our tour. We're trying to tell and lecture about the history and the founding of the nation's oldest city. And that's simply what our job is. We have nothing to sell except that heritage. And we don't feel his Tragedies Museum is part of that heritage.
But a couple of 100 feet from here is Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum. What does that have to do with the history of St. Augustine?
Had Robert Ripley not been a frequent winter visitor, it probably wouldn't have fit.
Mr. Huff says this has been his home for many years. He, too, belongs to this community.
There's no question about it. I for one, would fight for him to remain here. I'm not going to take the risk of selling my customers a ticket to something they may find that would offend them.
We're not barbarious. We're not trying to make it morbid. We want to just let people understand what happened. That a little man rented a room for $7.50, where he planned and schemed and with a $14 rifle did this terrible crime. And I say it's historical. It might not be St. Augustine historical, but it's historical. And it'll live on forever. It'll live forever.
Next month, Buddy Huff will reapply for membership in the St. Augustine Chamber of Commerce for the 4th time.
From the company that means road cars comes a new form of driving excitement. Pontiac Le Mans for 1988. A new import designed and equipped to feel as smart as it looks. Pontiac Le Mans, with prices as low as $59.95. The roomy, distinctive, imported all-new Le Mans. Only at your Pontiac dealer. We build excitement. Pontiac.
Airwick presents the smelliest reasons for using Carpet Fresh. Once these odors are trapped in the rug, they're in the room. Double-action Carpet Fresh rug and room deodorizer eliminates odors at their source and leaves a fresh, clean scent. Nothing freshens carpets like Carpet Fresh.
The simple way to get calcium is nature's way, from dairy foods. 3 servings a day can easily give an adult the 800 milligrams you need. It's that simple. Dairy calcium. Calcium the way nature intended.
What a team! We give 110%. Speed-stick antiperspirant gives 110%. Why? It's the most powerful protection you can get. Nothing fights wetness and odor better. Glides on dry, lasts all day. That's 110% protection.
Speed Stick Antiperspirant, the wide stick.
That's your edge.
Shaving's rough on sensitive skin, but after aftershave skin conditioner soothes.
Sensible care for sensitive skin. After.
By Menon. These are Long John Silver's unique sea salads. Each is delicious. Each is made fresh every day and loaded with seafood. Which is the best? Well, you might disagree, but my favorite is the seafood salad. Or it might possibly be that incredible ocean chef. Now, you say I was wrong, that the new seafood pasta salad is the best. Then you'd storm out of the room, Matt, and wait, because we haven't even talked about the combo salad yet.
Long John Silver's.
You might be right.
Sounds good to me.
60 Minutes takes you for a ride, 180 miles an hour through the Italian countryside in the car of your dreams. Sunday on CBS.
Wednesday,
Take your hands off that man.
sure, Hammer doesn't take any.
You should see him when he's upset.
Stacy Keach's Mike Hammer. Racism. Is it slipping through our legal system? At work? In the community? What protection can minorities hope for? Join Craig Owensby for a special series, The Color of Racism, Monday at 10 on Channel 5 Eyewitness News.